Hi Kyle. Today is Monday, March 9th. It's about 7:20 a.m. I'm walking to work. The time change was yesterday, so it's darker now in the morning, but I'm kind of surprised it's 7:20 and it's already starting to get light. It looks like it's gonna be, at least for this morning, a sunny blue sky day. So let's see. This past weekend I went to Portland to see Brian and Serene, Natalie and Audrey. They were at this music conference that it kind of reminded me of that one time that I went to the Florida All-State Honor Band. It was kind of like that, where they were rehearsing all week and then they put on a performance, but it was also a music educator conference. That was fun. And then I had brunch with one of my city year friends in Portland, came home. And then this week is actually my last week of grad school, which I'm really excited about. And it was going to be probably the busiest week of the quarter because I was going to be teaching, and then I was going to have to go into the city today to present my project at a colloquium, and then I was going to have to go back into the city on Wednesday for class. And luckily, well, not luckily, I'm trying to think how to say this. It's not a good thing, but it is good for me, I guess, because of the coronavirus and all the kind of panic that's come about that. Both schools ended up canceling. We're coming to Islandwood, so no one's teaching. And then the colloquium was canceled, and all classes at UW are now, for the rest of the quarter, are online. So there's no in-person classes, so that means I don't have to go into the city. So all these are really good things for me, but overall really bad for everyone else. The schools that don't come, even though I get a break from teaching, it's that's their only environmental ed experience, maybe in their school career, and they're missing it. For some students, Islandwood is their only real science experience all year, which is really crazy. So that's kind of a real blow to those students. But I'm going to take this week. There's a lot of projects that staff instructors are going to be working on. My one coworker and I have been working on these climate boards, and it's basically, they're interactive bulletin boards going down the hallway. We've gotten 2 of them pretty much done, and we're working on the 3rd. And I'd like to finish that this week, and so I'll show those to you because I think they're really cool. I'm really excited. So here's to last week of the quarter. Woo! So this is, I think I showed you this in the last video. This tree right here is called an Indian plum, or Osoberry. Has these leaves that kind of start growing straight up. So I finally looked it up. The word difference between monoecious and dioecious. So monoecious plants have both male and female parts. For example, a red alder here will have, I think I'm saying this right, they have both catkins, which produce pollen, and cones, which produce seeds. So it can, in essence, fertilize itself. Although I don't think that's beneficial. But Indian plum is dioecious, meaning there's male trees and female trees. But someone pointed this out to me recently, so I guess this would be considered maybe a female tree because it has flowers, whereas male trees don't have flowers. But there's one close to campus that like every little branch has flowers. Wherever there's leaves, there's flowers coming off. And so this tree has a lot less flowers. So I'm curious about if it's more of a spectrum, like can you be more male or more female for a tree, and also like what makes a tree be male or female. I think that's something I'm gonna look up today. Very interesting. So pretty though, so springy. Okay, so now this tree right here is it's one with it's like one trunk, but it really branches out, and like the canopy, like the branches really spread out. It has no leaves on it. Deciduous tree. There's a lot of moss on the bark. This is the same type of one. This is called a big leaf maple. So the leaves are like often twice as big as my hand, and they have like 5 lobes, so it kind of looks like a hand. Most of them are decaying, like half decayed or mostly decayed, so there aren't really any good examples. They're really cool. But their seeds are these little helicopter seeds. They're called samaras, this type of seed with like the seed and then the like wing on it. I think all maple trees have samaras, as that's the type of seeds they have. But anyway, maple trees, at least big leaf maple trees, are really prolific. So they put out hundreds, each tree puts out hundreds of these samaras. And when they germinate, they look like this. Just these little trees. And I forget these, like, I think I talked about this once, but these leaves have a name. The like first 2 leaves to come out, I think it starts with a C. That one's weird. And I don't know if you can see, but like all of these are maple trees. All of these, it kind of just looks like grass. There's so many. It's really crazy. And I think what's crazier is that as many seeds that have germinated that are here, I have yet to see a maple tree that's like anywhere from like youth to adolescent. I don't know if that's what you say for trees, but I haven't seen a big leaf maple tree that is a sapling or like any bigger than like a year from last year. I haven't seen any seeds from last year that have like continued to grow. So I think big leaf maples are put out so many seeds because they don't survive. That's my guess. I think they're just really slow growing. I'll have to read about this, but yeah, I don't know. And it's interesting because there's like so many big maples, like this one, these, over here there's a bunch, there, and they all like look about the same age to me. I think their trunks are about as big, or there's like this middle-aged younger ones that are like this big. And I'm just wondering, like, what are the conditions that take for a seed to like germinate and then like really take off? Because I feel like most of those are gonna die. So I don't know. I'll keep track of it over the next over the season, I guess, and try to count them. I really want to do like a population density with my students. I want an investigation, like how dense are they, like 1 foot from the tree, 10 feet from the tree, like 50 feet from the tree. That's hard though, because the trees are so close to each other that you can't just like isolate one. I'm also curious, like, how to do it over time and see if, like, at what rate do they start dying off. So maybe I'll take some data this week and then use it with my students in the next couple weeks. So I came a long way to work. By meaning I like walked way out of my way to see this tree. This is also a big leaf maple. And this tree, this week I noticed, or last week with my students, on the ground there was this like green flower bud. And I looked up, it was from this tree. And I know you can't really see it, but like right around here on the ends of these branches, the maple has this flower bud that's like this big. This is the first tree that leaf maple that I noticed it on. They're getting pretty big. And so what happens is it's a bud, and the flowers come out and they kind of like hang down. It's kind of like the Indian plum where they kind of hang down. And I know you can eat them. So if I haven't eaten them, but I want to try them this year. And for me, this is like, I remember my Islandwood year, my grad year, seeing, so they'll flower, the big leaf maples will flower and then they'll start to leaf out. And I remember like seeing them leaf out was like this big sign of like, we're almost there, and like spring is finally here, and like we're almost done with the year. So that's kind of where, for me, it's like a big symbol of like a change. And it's like marking a period of time. So it's really cool that we're already starting to see maple buds. And it seems like these things go really slow, and then all of a sudden they're like picking up speed. And they have all the changes happen really fast. So I feel like we're in this period of time where everything's like slowly starting to bud, and like they're starting to grow bigger and bigger, and then all of a sudden in the next couple weeks everything's going to be flowering and leafing out, and it's really exciting. So spring. So this little tree right here, I guess it's not, I actually learned it's not technically a tree, it's actually a shrub, and I feel like it has to do with there's like no central trunk. It's all these like little trunk-like branches coming out. This is another type of maple. It's called the vine maple. Its leaves are a lot more circular, kind of round, and it has usually 7 to 9 lobes. And when these leaf out, maybe I'll do like a summer version of this video and show you all the plants once they have their leaves. These are also starting to bud, kind of. This one still has a lot of samaras on it, so these are a lot smaller. They also don't germinate as readily, as far as I know. I haven't seen a single one yet, unless I'm just like, just don't know what they look like. I haven't seen a seed that's germinated. But what's cool about these is their bark is green, which is pretty uncommon in trees or plants like this, like a woody plant. I learned this fall that they can sunburn, which I suppose is why they grow here in the Pacific Northwest. I think these little things, little dots, are also called lenticels, and they help with gas exchange. I think the vine maple is my favorite tree here in Washington. Shrub, I suppose, my favorite shrub. And when I worked for WCC, when we did some work, what did we do? We were doing forest thinning, so cutting down certain size trees, not pines, I guess, like Doug firs. And when often we were working in an area where there were just tons of these everywhere. So when a tree falls on this, it gets, you probably can't see this from the video, but there's a lot of spring in these. And so if a tree like falls on it, we call it a springboard. I gotta think of the word, but something spring something. So like you have to be really careful, because then if like a tree is falling on this and you're trying to cut this tree up, if you like cut it just right, then this will just spring back up at you. And so you have to cut this part first. And there's a way you can do it by like making several cuts on the bottom and then cutting on the top to like relieve the pressure to like get this cut first and then cut the tree. So kind of interesting. I think you can probably make a lot of things from this, just with how like springy and pliant it is. But there it is, vine maple. Hey Kyle, so here are the climate boards that I helped make. So there's 3 of them. This first one is weather. We have a definition of climate, and a definition of weather. And then we have a place for students or anyone who comes in here to write down the current weather. And there's a thermometer over here. It's on the ground. And then we have a place for them to write or draw the weather. And then we have a section on phenology, which is the study of seasonal natural phenomenon and cycles. And so it's a timeline. And people can add what they noticed. So flowers blooming, things coming out, the frogs, flowers, more flowers, horsetails, and my maple. Actually, I did almost all of these. And then I got another one for March. Ooh. And then anyone can write their own, add them. And then down the hall, we have climate. So again, the same definitions. We talked about the difference between weather and climate, and then anyone can add to the map what they've noticed about climate, how it's changed in their lifetime. Got one for Florida. I'm filming it for my brother. Because we send each other videos back and forth. And climate data. Got one graph. They put 2 graphs that show the same information, but this one is temperature over time. This one, the y-axis is 55 to 60 degrees. You can see the variation. This one, the y-axis is like 0 to 110 degrees. There's no variation. So rather than just telling students about like why they're different, we add questions to them to think about like what's the x-axis showing, what's the y-axis showing, what are these graphs showing in general, and then questions for them to think about the difference between these 2 graphs and maybe the motivations behind making them these ways. And then this one, these last 2 are from this hashtag Show Your Stripes. I've been calling it a movement. I think it's a movement. And so you can go to hashtag, or you just go to showyourstripes.info, and there are these graphics for anywhere that you live. So this is Washington State, and this is the world. And each line, each stripe represents a different year. It starts at 1901 and goes all the way to 2018. And the bluer the stripe, or the darker blue the stripe, the colder than average what that year was, temperature on average, and then the redder the stripe, the warmer it was than the average for that year. And so we kind of just, they were presented, like the way they were first presented was at this concert without any context. And so we provide them without any context, and it's kind of a way to just start a conversation about climate change. That was the intention of it. And so we have questions like, what do you need to actually interpret this, since there's nothing? And then we talked about, so why are they different? And we kind of talked about the show your stripes and how one's from Washington and one's from the world, and how the trends look different whether you're zoomed in or zoomed out. So yeah, really proud of this. I'm really proud of it. It took a long time, and I think it's something that's really important to person to start thinking about. And I think we did it in a way that is relates it back to their life and helps them to think and guides them in thinking critically about issues like climate change. Ooh. Hey Kyle, so I'm back, still Monday the 9th. It's a beautiful day. It's so pretty and it's kind of warm-ish now. It's been a perfect day to be out here with students, and they are not here this week or for the next 4 weeks, which I found out today, except for one school coming next week. And that's because Seattle Public Schools shut down all field trips until the end of March. And all the schools we had coming besides this one next week were Seattle Public Schools. So we're kind of in a day-by-day kind of mode of response to the coronavirus. Anyway, it's beautiful. I'm walking home. It's 5 o'clock and it's still super sunny. It's going to be sunny for a while because of the time change. And I'm going to stop again at this salmonberry bush. This is one from the last video that I sent, and there's so many more flowers on it now. It's super pretty. As you can see now, there's little leaves starting to come out. Can't wait to be able to show you what these leaves actually look like. Oh, they're so cute. But yeah, so these flowers will eventually turn into salmonberries, and I spent some time looking up some things this morning, and one of them was how the salmonberry got its name. I have to read it because there's a couple of reasons. We'll zoom in on a flower while I tell you this. So let's see. One of the reason why it might be salmonberry is from the Chinook tribe, who have a story that when salmonberry was first discovered, Coyote, who is in a lot of stories here in the Pacific Northwest, Coyote was instructed to put its berries inside the mouth of every salmon he caught from the river, and this was done to ensure continued good fishing, and so that perhaps this is why they're called salmonberries. Although in Northwest Coast narratives, the ripening salmon berries are referred to often as Swainson's thrush or salmonberry bird. The Swainson's thrush is this is what it looks like. Picture on my phone. But it has this really cool song that kind of woo, 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 woo. It goes from really low to pretty high, and it spirals up. And so the name appears to derive from the plant's relationship to the Swainson's thrush bird, which arrives each year in May during the ripening time of salmonberries. So perhaps that is why it got its name, or one way. Another one story from the native nations of the Olympic Peninsula tells of the human relationship with the salmonberry, and they say that if a child stays out past dark, the basket woman will come and will scoop up the child and roast him or her for dinner. And in that legend, a young child named Salmonberry stayed out on the beach to see if the basket lady really existed. The basket lady appeared in the night, took Salmonberry and her 2 friends to her hut to be cooked for dinner, and that's part of their culture. And some people say maybe it's just salmonberry because the berries look like salmon eggs, which hopefully I'll be able to show you before I leave Islandwood. And the last, I guess that's it. Yeah, so anyway, that's all I got. But cool, salmonberries are out, starting to flower, starting to leaf out. Woo. So I know earlier I was also talking about the Osoberry. You really see this. and wondering about male versus female trees. And so I was reading up on it today, and I read that both male and female trees have flowers, which I did not realize. And the flowers look similar, but are different. Like the males have a stamen, like 15 stamen, and the females have like 5. I can't remember what they're called. I think it starts with a C. Carpels, which are like the female part of the flower. And so the tree outside the learning studios, that the one that I showed you a couple videos ago, has a ton of flowers, and I thought it was female, but based on the description of the flowers, it's actually male. Which I'm curious. I don't know. Was just super wrong about that. So that was kind of my mind-blowing thing for today. But then I came upon this one on the way back. I was hoping to see more. I thought there were more than just one. Maybe there are, but I came upon this one, and it has no flowers. And the flowers started even before the leaves started coming out. So I don't know if this one will have flowers at all. So I'm kind of curious now. I don't know if that works. I also learned that the females there's a higher ratio of female to male Indian plum, which means, or I guess because females have a higher mortality rate. I don't know why, I just read that in one article. So maybe because of the extra expense it takes to make fruit. I'm not sure. I also saw, sorry, I'm looking at this tree. I think it's a cherry tree. Some type of cherry. I also read that the flowers, besides looking different, also smell different. So I guess the female flowers are like really sweet smelling, and the male flowers smell like urine, or like something not pleasant to humans. So that's kind of interesting. The ones by the learning studio didn't really smell like anything to me. So I don't know. Really interesting. Also something really crazy that I learned, which I can't remember now if this applies to Indian plum. I think it does, so I don't know how else I would have read it. But I learned today that some trees, so there's monoecious trees or plants, and they have just one tree has both male and female reproductive not organs. And there's dioecious, which means they're separate male and female trees or plants. So like one will produce pollen, one will produce seeds or fruits. And then there's another category called gynodioecious. And I think I need to read more about it to really understand what it is. But part of it is that a tree can change from producing male flowers or cones or whatever to female flowers or cones or like catkins, whatever, depending on the environmental conditions. So that's kind of crazy to me. And I'm curious about like if it is something that just happens, like the tree can say, oh, I don't have enough resources to make fruit this year, so I'm gonna just produce pollen, or if it's something like sea turtles where it's based on temperature and they don't have any control over that. So I'm gonna look more into that too. I think that's interesting. An interesting question to answer as our climate is changing. Yeah. But yeah, a lot more questions than answers, really. And I think this has been good for me because I feel like this was like something that I really thought I knew about, like a plant that I thought I knew about, and there's so much I didn't know about it. So it was a good reminder to like always stay curious, and like even when you think you know something, like keep an open mind and dive deeper into it. Yeah. You smell like cucumbers. Okay. Hey Kyle, so today is Friday, March 13th, 3:13. That's my lucky number. Today's my lucky day, kind of. Not, it doesn't really feel like it. Kind of a dreary, rainy, typical winter, springish day here in Pacific Northwest. Oh, my hair's just a mess. Today is my last day working at Islandwood for a while. So I don't know how much you've heard about what's happening out here with COVID-19 and coronavirus. But yesterday, all the Seattle public schools, and actually I think all public schools from King, Pierce, and Snohomish County. It's like King County is where Seattle is, so like Pierce County is the county under it, and then whatever county is right above King County. All canceled school through April 24th. And so as a result, Islandwood is stopping all programming besides the grad program through the end of April. So as a staff instructor, I've been put on furlough, which basically means like they're not firing me, but they don't have work. And so we get 3 weeks of severance pay, so just like a regular pay, and during that time we can file for unemployment, and then hopefully that'll kick in like at the end of those 3 weeks. And I think it's a decision that was really hard for Islandwood to make, especially because it's such a like people-oriented organization that like cares very deeply about the people that work there, and here, still Islandwood. And at the same time, like when schools don't come, that's money that the program loses, because groups are not supposed to gather more than like 250 people. I think it's probably less now, but some geese. Islandwood had this fundraiser called Dinner in the Woods, and there's like talk of that not happening. I think it was supposed to be maybe in May or April. I don't think that's like for sure canceled, but that is like a huge fundraiser. And so Islandwood's losing a lot of money from this, and it's just like they're just not able to pay us. So I'm kind of like in this weird situation where like news is changing, like things are changing so rapidly. Like 2 days ago schools were canceled through March, and like yesterday now it's through April. I guess there's kind of like almost like a 50-50 chance that they'll just be canceled for the rest of the year. So I don't know. And also like when schools are coming back now with like having missed almost 2 months, like is it realistic that they're still going to come to Islandwood? I don't know. I feel like the probability of having programming is for the rest of the school year is pretty unlikely. So I kind of like just want to be told like, yes, you'll be hired, like you'll have a job again in May, or no, like you should just find something else. Which the reason they put us on furlough is because they anticipate having programming again, and they don't want to be stuck without the staff to make that happen, if and when it comes back. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I'm kind of waiting. I want to go back to Florida, and so now that I have like 6 weeks or so, but I don't want to do it too fast because I don't want it to like fly down there, and then like a week or two and be told like, actually we can't hire you back, like we don't have work for you, because my contract just goes through mid-June. So I'm kind of waiting on that. I'll keep you updated. It's kind of not a great situation, but here we are. On a positive note though, the forest doesn't really care that coronavirus is going around, and things are still, spring is still happening, and things are still leafing out and flowering. And I saw, like, yesterday I got to go out on a walk and I saw like 4 plants that I hadn't seen with leaves for the first time this spring, which was really cool. Different species of plants. So yeah, anyway, I think I'm gonna send this video out today. I hope all is well with you. I know it's probably crunch time with your project. Yeah, I'm here for you. Whatever you need, just let me know. Okay, talk to you later. Bye.